Assassin's Creed's Black Flag Resynced seems to be way more than just the original game with better graphics. It includes 6 hours of new, mostly story content. A new combat system that stays true to the fast time to kill of the original, while also adding more depth, something that we also find in the expanded Naval systems. The familiar parkour moves are still present, but should feel much more fluid, and it looks pretty good. This is still the Black Flag we know and love, with almost all the content still present, but also improved upon in many ways. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised by how much Ubisoft has added and changed. The game is coming out on July 9th. I got a ton of exclusive gameplay and info, so a ton to go over in this video. Let's go. I love how Black Flag Resynced in some ways looks a bit like the cinematic trailers that they used in 2013 to promote this pirate adventure. It's sharper, more colorful, and has a lot of features that were introduced with Shadows, like the dynamic Atmos weather system that connects everything, from rain on clothes to wind that moves everything in the environment. But in Black Flag, this should have an impact during naval gameplay, with bigger storms and weather affecting waves, which will influence how our ship handles, more so than in the original. The world is the same size, but now completely seamless, meaning we can dock at big settlements without a loading screen. But even though they did not make the Black Flag map bigger, they did add brand new locations, probably on islands that first did not have a lot going on. This is where most of the brand new outfits and weapons can be found. Again, Black Flag Resynced in a way feels like Ubisoft having the opportunity to make the overall experience even better. The tailing missions are also still in the game, but this time you won't be met with a game over screen if the target spots you. Now, it's still unclear how this works, but the idea is that you can adapt to the situation instead of having to replay the whole sequence again, which was totally one of the pain points of the original. And it seems that Ubisoft improved the combat too and made a ton of small but likely impactful changes. It's still very counter-based, after which you can follow up and take the enemy out, but a big change is that the alternative stances like unarmed combat and using your hidden blade to parry and attack are gone. Instead, Edward focuses on his swords, but you can still perform a hidden blade takedown after breaking an enemy's defense. There's now a chain takedown to up to 4 enemies after landing a perfect parry, which seems to keep the short time to kill alive, and the destructible environments from Shadows are present, and we can use that to our advantage. I have of course not played it myself yet, but it does seem that Ubisoft is giving us a bit more control during combat, while we still get to keep all the cool moves from the original Black Flag, like using an enemy as a human shield against a ranged target. It now also seems that using certain tools and weapons in combat is a bit easier in Resynced, as we can now activate them like abilities from the recent RPG games. I noticed that when Edward uses the rope dart, it goes on a short cooldown, and it also doesn't have a number, potentially meaning that it has an unlimited amount of uses now, but that we simply cannot spam it. Same for the pistols, by the way, and another big and impactful change is the fact that we have health potions now. Before we had to run away and wait to regenerate health, but it seems like we can now more easily stay in the fight by using these drinks. Now, them adding a dedicated crouch button for stealth is a very obvious and welcome change. Will give us way more creative freedom instead of having to stick to the tall grass to stay hidden. But we now also have a shadow style tool selection window, where we likely have to decide which tool to use. As in this example, he uses the berserker darts, while in the other example he has the sleep darts in this spot. And ammo is shown here too, also for the guns. And we see a brand new tool, the bell. So in Black Flag you could throw coins to lure NPCs, but it was not really reliable. And in the Freedom Cry DLC, firecrackers were added. But now we can use bells to lure enemies to certain spots, similar to, for example, the Shinobi bells from Shadows. And worth noting, the Freedom Cry DLC and the multiplayer is not included here, just the base Black Flag single player experience. But they did add a new enemy called the Demolitionist, who uses a blunderbuss as a weapon, similar to what Adewale was using as well. No footage of this enemy yet, but we do have footage of the new naval changes. While I'm not seeing any new naval weapons or upgrades in the menu, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ubisoft does mention that there are new alternative fire upgrades for every weapon And maybe we can now use multiple weapons from one direction, as they also now have this new combat selection window, although again, your input is more than welcome. We can now also have a cat or monkey on our ship, but an even bigger addition are the 3 new officers that bring brand new gameplay benefits. You've got Deathman Smith, who lets broadside cannons fire twice per salvo, which seems very strong, while Padre can join your crew as a strong fighter and enable the Jackdaw Ram Dash, which seems to be a brand new move. Lucy is the 3rd and final new character that we will meet, and recruiting them actually involves brand new narrative quests with cutscenes, so that's pretty cool. But there will also be new narrative arcs with familiar characters like Blackbeard and Steed. Again, most of the 6 hours of new content should be story driven and also give us new glimpses into Edward's personal life. Yes, the rumors that the original modern day is removed in Resynced are true, but in its place are these rifts, similar to what we saw in Shadows. They are not connected to the main narrative, but instead hidden in the world for us to find, and they cover what-if scenarios for Edward. One example that was given by the creative director was, what if Edward chose to be a Templar instead of an assassin? They also consulted a lot with Darby, the lead writer on the original, for these pieces of content, so it all sounds pretty good, but I hope they are more cutscene heavy than the riffs we saw in Shadows, which were kind of disappointing. The creative director also told us in a private session that there will be many new lines with Bart Roberts, of course an important character for the Black Flag story, including a brand new scene with him. So next to the actual new content, it also seems like they have just added a ton of smaller stuff throughout the game that we will just experience while playing through the main narrative again. And they constantly stress that this is still an action-adventure game, not an RPG. It does have a bit more RPG elements though than the original, although it's more comparable to a Mirage than say a Shadows. For one, weapons now have unique perks, like being able to heal after a perfect parry, making them more varied and letting us pick which perk we want. While in the original, it was pretty clear what the best weapon was, there was not a lot of choice. We also see this in the pre-order bonus, by the way, for the Blackbeard's Crimson Pack, which grants unique perks. Outfits are now all just cosmetic though, but if they had a perk in the original like the Templar outfit that reduces melee damage, then that perk will now be transferred to a trinket. Yes, Black Flag now also has trinkets, but overall this means that you can just wear the outfit you want for the look and then select a trinket based on the perk. And I am, by the way, doing a giveaway for the deluxe edition of the game, which includes even more items. So totally leave a like on the video and then enter via the link in the pinned comment. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Subscribe. I'll of course have way more Black Flag info and videos coming your way. If you want to see some raw gameplay, then totally check the video that you see on screen, and I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.